Hello everyone, and welcome to Uncle Matt's Star Wars collection tour. I've done a lot of videos concerning Star Wars action figures. Seems to be the theme of the channel, even though it wasn't intended to be, but a couple of viewers have asked me a few times to do a collection tour, so I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. So right in front of me is the Cantina Diorama that you guys have probably seen before, but if you haven't, I basically built the middle section. I didn't build the front or the back rooms because it just won't fit on that desk. So that's the whole reasoning behind that. I just recently repainted all the walls with a yellow wash, or kind of a sandy wash, and I think it looks a whole lot better after I did that. They're not set up in any particular way right now. It's just, they're just put here and there. Over on the side here, I've got Luke's speeder, and there's Garendon snitching Luke out to the popo. And I've got a box back here full of stands. Over here, this is not really an Emperor's Arrival setup. I want to do that someday, but I do have a shuttle, and I've got some guards. This is just sitting on top of a little filing cabinet. That's my shuttle. Over here is my Kenner Death Star. There's a couple of troopers and Admiral Piet there. It's near complete. I'm missing the Dianoga and the swing rope, and my cannon is missing the end part. Other than that, it's pretty much complete and in fairly decent condition. And so we'll go up here to this shelf, and we've got a vintage Kenner B-Wing and a couple of mini rigs. There's the slave one that I restored in another video, and Rebel transport. And behind that, I've got some carded figures. I'm not a card collector. This is, call it my waiting room. Any carded figure up here is basically, it's just waiting until I need it for a display or a diorama, or even a custom. Yeah, I'll open up a carded figure for custom if I don't want the figure in the first place and I specifically got it for customizing. Yeah, I'll open up a carded figure and customize it. And moving on up here, there's a couple more carded figures. And this is my vintage Kenner snow speeder. One of the first videos I did was a restoration of this, and I did de-yellow it. But you can see here that it is far more yellow than it was when I even started. So if anybody was ever wondering, I've heard it said before that things that are yellowed, you can de-yellow them, but the yellow will come back. Here's the proof right here. Just watch my video. This was de-yellowed, and now it's even yellower than it was before, a couple years later. So, okay. Next on the shelf is I got a vintage Kenner Y-Wing. It's near complete. It's only missing the bomb. Got a couple of astromechs there, vintage R5D4, and a Disney droid, Droid Depot droid. Baby Yoda back there. My newest figure I just picked up yesterday is this Ahsoka Tano. Walked into a local Walmart. I've been there the last few days knowing that these figures are out there somewhere, and there's been nothing. And then I go yesterday and there's one Ahsoka Tano on the pegs and nothing else. So somebody got lucky and I just missed them. Got a vintage Kenner X-Wing back there. And I think I've got Biggs Dark Lighter sitting in the cockpit. And a battle damaged TIE fighter, blue tie, vintage Kenner TIE fighter pilot. And there we've got sexy topless Darth Maul. Say hello, sexy Maul. The only reason he's there is because I used him for some photos earlier with Ahsoka, and we have a 501st Phase 2 Clone Trooper. I actually found him in a Goodwill bag that I didn't do a video for. Most of what was in that bag was modern Transformers, all of them missing parts, but I could just barely see his head poking through in that bag, so I grabbed the bag for $3, and that's what I got out of it, was that Clone Trooper. And here I have Power of the Force X-Wing. The interesting thing about this, that's another thing I got at Goodwill. It was my birthday, just by chance, and I walked into Goodwill and spotted that on the top shelf where that's usually nothing but board games. It was in the box. Wasn't a sealed box, and it was missing one cannon. But yeah, I got it for like $6, I think. That's probably the best $6 I ever spent. And so, moving right along, over here, this opposite wall, I've got this, we're in the basement, and that's a window that I've kind of blacked out with that star background. This is the majority of my vintage Kenner figures. The top row in the back is the first 12. And most of these figures are not complete and not in great shape, but and when I started collecting, these are what I was collecting. I was only collecting the vintage figures. But I've moved on from that. And I don't have them all. I've got all except for the really expensive ones. But I'm happy with these guys as they are. I continue to pick them up whenever I find them. So moving over here to the right, I've got this shelf where I have Anakin's Jedi Starfighter and a near complete vintage Kenner Millennium Falcon. It actually took me 3 Falcons to get this far with this Falcon. The only thing I'm missing is the training ball and arm. But to get all of the pieces for this, I bought 3 different Falcons at different times and places and pieced it all together. And I've got the vintage collection TIE Fighter back there with the infamous broken wing clips. Get around to fixing that at some point. And a Darth Vader statue. I don't know who manufactures that or what year it was produced. I picked it up at Goodwill. And going down one shelf, we have my Ewok Village diorama. It basically takes up that entire shelf space. Now this is not any particular scene from a movie or anything. This is just random. He doesn't even belong there, but this is just a random setup to, I basically painted that background and made this baseboard for the sole purpose of displaying these toys. That's it. I wasn't trying to make a movie scene. But yeah, Lando shouldn't be there, but I figured, he would have been there during the after party, which obviously we're not in that phase right now. But anyway, we got this guy suspended from thread. He swings. This guy's also suspended from threads. He swings. Moving on down the shelf, we have not really a diorama, but we've got a bunch of Hoth stuff here. This is just, this is not a movie scene. It's just, think of like a Sears toy ad, from Christmas in the 80s. I just set up some white styrofoam and put these guys in there kind of pretty much at random. I did have a blue sky background there with blue paper, but it all fell off and I haven't put it back. Down the shelf we have my temporary, oh there's that blue paper, the temporary Jabba's Palace setup. Again, I'm not accurately creating the scene. They're basically all these guys are here crowding around Luke, I do intend to build a Jabba's Palace diorama at some point, and this is a shelf it will go on. This is kind of a placeholder, so I said it was temporary. Over here we've got a vintage Kenner Dewback and Luke's land speeder. And that's the remote control to my Hero Droid BB-8 that my wife gave me for Christmas one year. Rancor, I simply have no place to put him right now, but this bottom shelf is going to be his home. One of these days, this bottom shelf is going to be a Rancor pit, if that's what you call it. Right now, it's just kind of a storage shelf for my miscellaneous figures. I have the vintage Star Wars collector's guide there. So let's move BB-8 and see what I've got here. This really isn't organized. It was the beginning of me trying to organize. I've just got some, figures in here. I'm not going to go through them all. Just show you basically what's in there. And so right here we have the bin full of miscellaneous stuff. This is Jabba's throne. It doesn't fit in there, but I will probably use this in the diorama that I build when I get around to building it. We've got some figure stands here. Catwoman, I grabbed her because I was going to try to even use her to make Tonica, but what's stopping me is this gaping hole in her back. I don't know if you can see that on camera or not. Get in the light. Yeah, she has accessories that go in that, plug in that hole, and it's like, man, I really don't want to try to fill that hole. Also, she's too tall. She's got really long legs that make her like almost a whole head taller than Luke. So that's no good. So this here is just a bag of custom fodder. When I'm doing customs, I'll dig into this bag, see if there's anything I can use, and and then the waste. Nothing's waste. It goes into this bag when I'm done. Jabba's arm, I need to get around to fixing at some point. These guys are bagged together because that's a project that I'll be doing soon. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. Yeah, that's just kind of miscellaneous stuff. Then here I've got these tackle boxes. And in these tackle boxes I've got, there's a vintage Bosk and Power Droid, some random accessories. And this one I've got here is nothing but accessories. If I need a weapon for somebody, or I just don't have anywhere to go with something, it just kind of ends up in here. And here I've got basically non-vintage figures, modern figures. There's my custom Uncle Matt Stormtrooper right there. Yeah, I need a better way to store figures than this. And then here are some extra vintage figures. Well, that one's not. That is a Final Faction figure that's I bought with the intention of making Tonica sisters, but they're really in my... I'm too picky. They're not good enough for Tonica. And that is it. My collection is not huge, and I don't have a lot of room for a collection. I've basically got this corner in the basement, and that's it. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed my little collection tour. If you're a returning viewer, thank you for watching. I appreciate you guys, and please make sure and click the like button and drop me a comment. If you're new here, thank you for watching, and please subscribe. Bye.